Hello and welcome to an episode of Momento Malum today. In this episode we'll be covering the testing of different flax varieties for specific Fusarium resistance genes, specifically R genes. The goal is to evaluate how these genes act and how temperature affects the activation of these genes, and how these genes are inherited, as well as a list of R genes found across a series of flax cultivars. Flax is a very popular crop within Russia due to its wide adaptability and range, as well as a wide array of uses such as its use in fiber, oilseed, and feed. One of the biggest problems in flax, however, is Fusarium. Many current cultivars have resistance either quantitative or qualitative in nature. The latter has frequently lost stability because of the changes in the pathogen population. The earliest points of discovery of how Fusarium was suppressed using R genes occurred more than half a century ago with the cultivar A1120. Two resistance genes, or R genes, were discovered in this cultivar and was used extensively in breeding to incorporate those two genes in every single cultivar known. Fusarium was first identified in the late 19th century, but until 2005, only 3 genes that encode for Fusarium resistance were discovered, and only 2 of these were suitable for Russian cultivars in regards to the population of Fusarium within Russia. 2 of these genes are found in the common cultivar called Dakota. The first derivative stems from Dakota, which has 2 R genes, and there's also one variety called Punjab, which also has an R gene that doesn't work on the Fusarium found within Russia. The goal was to see how well Fusarium works within the framework of temperatures above 25 degrees Celsius during summer, to see if these R genes still stack up during this time period, as well as identify the different Fusarium genes found within common Russian cultivars to see if the known R gene listed in the next slide will stack up. The cultivars were tested against local pathogenic strains of Fusarium, as well as artificial high virulence strains, to see how well these stack up. And here are the results. Within the framework of R genes, 8 of the 10 commonly known R genes in flax for Fusarium wilt have been discovered in several Russian cultivars. 16 of the cultivars studied were found to be resistant to the local pathogenic strains of Fusarium. It was also found that some strains of Fusarium increase aggressiveness during warmer climates, and in certain cases can overcome the R gene through that process. The pathogen strains 187, 282, and 326 increase their aggressiveness and virulence in elevated air temperatures. However, there's differences in terms of cultivars, even under those circumstances. In a climatic-controlled temperature chamber, the cultivar K5657, bred in Minnesota, was highly resistant to all tested strains, and the cultivar Honkai 21 was highly susceptible to the strain number 187. K5635, KLN, Signal, Honkai 41, and Honkai 334, as well as Honkai 35 and Minimishi, were susceptible to the strain known as number 326. The cultivar Sel'skokhozyaistvennaya was susceptible to the strains 187 and 282. This indicates that these different strains are controlled by different R genes. The analysis of the F2 generation of different lineages showcased that through these experiments it was found that cultivar Sel'skokhozyaistvennaya contains a gene called FU7, which can knock out the Fusarium strain 285. Another cultivar called Honkai 21 has a gene that allows for resistance. This strain can also be controlled with the FU8 gene found in the cultivar Honkai 21. The cultivar line 6, bred in Russia, has the FU4 gene, which controls the 3896 strain of Fusarium. The 7 gene also controls the strains 187 and 282, and partially controls the strain 326. However, the gene stops working for the former two at temperatures above 25 degrees Celsius, so the FU7 gene found in Selescenia is useful but only in the proper temperature range. All the above genes are dominant in nature, and the Kolovar rodnik is highly resistant thanks to the two dominant genes. The most effective genes found were FU7, FU8, and FU4, and that about covers everything. Thank you for watching.